These guys are doing some incredible work with children and young people across the nation. And we're going to find out a little bit about what they're doing in their locality. So some really excellent work that I've been hearing about. So James, would you tell us about Sandwell and the people, the families that you're connecting with, kind of what life's like for them, what you're doing, what you're seeing, and why it's working?
So Sandwell is a place that not many people have heard of. It's interestingly named. In Sandwell, there's a well. Can you guess what's in the well? Sand. That's why it's called Sandwell. In Sandwell, we've got lots of churches, but they're all really small, and the communities are very, very deprived. So there's not a lot of money around, and lots of families are struggling. The historic families that have been there for generations are struggling, but also we've got a lot of newly arrived families as well, and they're struggling too. And what we're finding is that churches are looking for spaces within their own building, or sometimes in a high street shop, in one case in particular, which is called Brand Hall Community Hub. And they're looking to build a community around these hubs where people can just drop in for any reason at all. It could be to pick up a food parcel from a food bank. It could be to pick up some free uniform. But once they've got engaged with that hub, the church has got an opportunity then to reach out to that family and their extended family and offer a whole range of things. So it becomes a kind of connecting point for the church to really connect with the real needs of their communities. A clothing bank has sprung up from that. We've given over 1,000 boxes of clothes to local families who couldn't afford to clothe their own kids. Some amazing stories come out of that. So one particular family who moved over from Africa, and the little boy was absolutely traumatized. He'd come from a really difficult scenario, and his one passion in life was football. And he was absolutely devastated, heartbroken. He went to his school, and he's very, very good at football. And the school said, "We'd love to have you in our team, but you need to have some kit." He hadn't got any kit. He wanted to play for a local club. Again, no kit. And he was absolutely heartbroken, crying himself to sleep every night. Through the clothing bank, we managed to provide him with a brand new set of Adidas football boots. They were red and yellow. He was so excited by this because that's the thing that unlocked his situation. And his mum said the first time in 3 years he's smiling, laughing, and really happy. So those are the kind of things that we're able to see happening through these hubs. A whole range of different things. That's just one example.
That's amazing. What's the kind of key ingredient for you? Why is it working? How is the church coming alive?
Well, as I said earlier, no one church has got all the resources needed. So even to run a simple thing like a Trussell Trust food bank, not one church has got the resources. Churches haven't even got enough resources to run a CAP centre. But together they can. So what we're building is, in each of the 6 towns of Sandwell, we're building a unity movement among churches of all different denominations to say, actually, you can't do it by yourself, but you can do it together. And that's what's happening. The Brand Hall Community Hub I mentioned earlier is 4 different churches, an Anglican, a Catholic, a Baptist, and a New Frontiers church, working in partnership, doing together what no one church can do on its own.
That's an amazing example and description of that psalm, where the blessing is commanded, isn't it? On that little boy with those Adidas football trainers, what a blessing. Thanks, James, that's amazing. And Marie, you're a head teacher at Academy Trust. Tell us what you're doing in Liverpool and who you're connecting with, what kind of life the families are living, and why it's working, what's going well.
Okay, so Harmonise Academy is an alternative provision free school. We opened 12 years ago. We set up as a project, Love and Joy Ministries, based within Liverpool, set up an AP project because there were so many young people on the streets not attending education. And so they set up a project using performing arts and education, which ran for 8 years, and it was so successful, and we had so many young people attending full-time. We knew we had to set up as a school. We were looking at setting up as an independent school, and then myself and Hanny went to a conference where they mentioned about a new model, free schools, alternative provision free schools, and we put an application in within 6 weeks. And we were accepted as one of only 5 AP free schools within the country to open. So there was Harmonise Academy in Liverpool, Everton Free School also in Liverpool. one in Birmingham, one in Nottingham, and Derby Pride, just round the corner, was one of the first 5 AP-free schools to open. So it's for young people who've been excluded from school or are at risk of exclusion. Some of society's most vulnerable young people, they suffer a lot of disadvantage, maybe experiencing poverty, fuel poverty or food poverty, may have been through trauma, abuse, may have suffered loss of a parent or a sibling, have mental health issues. 25% of our students have got an educational healthcare plan for additional needs. 12% are looked after children. So the society's most vulnerable students who come to our school were twice outstanding. In our last Ofsted report, they described our school as a school that succeeds where no one else can, because we literally transformed the lives of students. Thank you.
Tell us why it works. What's working? I mean, obviously you get outstanding, which is absolutely incredible, but tell us what the ingredients are.
Okay, so the reason it works is our Christian ethos and values. Our values are based on trust, respect, compassion and forgiveness. So students come into our school, it's a warm and welcoming environment, it's a calm environment, they feel God's love there. Our values permeate right throughout the school, even though most of our staff are not Christians. They uphold those values. So when students do have issues with each other, they learn to forgive each other. And we see that played out each day. They have compassion for each other. And the staff see that happening each day. And so the staff learn those values. And it's just transforming. Our students achieve so many qualifications with us. We want them to be successful learners with inspiring qualifications. 100% of them go on to further education, employment and training. It's just, we save their lives, we transform their lives. We support them after they leave school to ensure they stay within college and move on to their careers. And as we've been running 12 years, we have lots of our students come back to school to say, they've got a first in their degree. Or one student's at Guildhall School in London, and they come up to assembly and speak to our current students to say, I was where you were, but look what I've achieved, and it really inspires our students. So the reason it works is God created the school, he sustains the school, and our Christian ethos.
Only God, that's amazing. What an achievement. That is incredible. Yeah. Thank you, Marie. And Gordon, tell us about Kick and what you're doing here.
Well, before I tell you about Kick, I'm an ex-head, and I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. What this lady hasn't shared with you, just a couple of stats. 4.3% of children from alternative provisions get a maths or an English GCSE. And you're talking about sending so many money
25% of our students get a grade 4 and above.
58% of children in alternative provision end up in prison. What you're doing is awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So just quickly, Joe unfortunately couldn't make it. I can't go into the reasons, it will take too long. Basically, what Kick do, 98% of children and young people in this country now, according to Scripture Union, do not attend church. The vast majority of adult Christians in this country experienced church to some degree or another when they were young. Not all, but the vast majority. So the vast majority of children in our schools today don't have much of an understanding of what the church is about, of the relevance of the Bible, or who Jesus truly is. So what our heart is to see those lives transformed by working with the church and by getting into schools. So what we do is we go into schools and we do coaching, we do mentoring, and we do chaplaincy. We do not go into schools to proselytize. We do not go into schools to evangelize. We're an evangelistic organization. The heart there is to demonstrate the love of God by witnessing through the services that we provide, a professional service that schools can rely upon, depend upon, and hopefully introduce us to other schools. But by doing so, we get to work with the children in the schools. Then we set up what are called Kick Academies with the local church, or, as you rightly said, it's James, isn't it? As you rightly said, James, churches working together. It's often now a group of churches as opposed to individual churches. And we set up a Kick Academy where children can come, still not to evangelize. The point of a Kick Academy is to demonstrate through Christian core values taught through sport and dance that the Bible is relevant and that Jesus is alive and well and the best role model you can have in life to learn how to live life to the full and to flourish. What we then do is in a holiday club with the local church, we will then present the gospel in terms of salvation. Now, what we've done to that point is we've demonstrated the love of God. We've introduced them to Jesus as an alive and well person and a role model to follow. We've prepared the harvest field so the harvest field is ripe. Now the Holy Spirit can do his work and hopefully bring those children through to make a decision to follow Jesus for themselves and join the local church where they will be discipled and led forth. And that's basically the heart of Kick.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, tell us, again, any stories, anything that stands out in the local that you've seen with an individual.
I can't so much talk about it because my role's business development. I sadly no longer get the privilege of working one-to-one with children, which is breaks my heart. But there we go. The Lord's called me to this. The one thing I would say is the biggest joy I'm experiencing through Kick is seeing that cross-church unity and coming together to make a difference. And the other thing I would say is Kick has the infrastructure to provide a professional service. There are an awful lot of sports organizations, Christian organizations out there that don't have that infrastructure in place to provide what the schools need. Kick does. And I used to work for one and have changed to Kick for that very reason. They are what they say they are.
Brilliant. That's amazing. What three incredible organizations, amazing people, following God's call to serve our young people and families in this nation. These guys will be around if you want to speak to them and to hear more. I'm sure we could have heard half an hour at least on each of them and their stories. Let's thank them and thank God for everything that they're doing. Thank you so much for coming.